Okay. Hello, YouTube. Um, let's uh, let's pop open a drink because I'm gonna be talking about Kraven the Hunter, which I saw Tuesday, just this past Tuesday. Oh boy. All right. Where do I start? Um, this movie sucked. I'm just gonna come out and say it. This movie never should have been made to begin with. I think a lot of fans are in the same place that I am right now, and they are feeling very, very fatigued by comic book movies, especially ones like this. The acting was, yeah, I mean, they did, these actors obviously did the best with what they were given. Um, but given, Sony's track record um, with these movies that are basically made just for the hell of it, just because, Sony, owns the rights to Spider-Man, it's just, it's such a desperate, creatively bankrupt move. And, and especially, to do it without Spider-Man, which, none of none of these characters, Venom, Morbius, Craven, none of these characters would exist if it weren't for Spider-Man. None of them would exist. Venom especially. And um, this film, it is an origin story. Um, it is an origin. It does serve, as the origin story for the character. However, if you're familiar with the comic books, if you're familiar with, um, more specifically, if you're familiar with um, Craven's Last Hunt, which um, that was, from what I understand, that was the main inspiration for this movie. And I can understand why, because it is a very famous storyline. It is a very popular storyline. It is a very beloved storyline among, Spider-Man fans. Um, when people think Craven, they think Craven's Last Hunt. That's just, um, that is uh, that is considered, like the definitive, story for the character. Um, my issue with this movie, I mean, there were so many issues with this movie, it's not even funny. I mean, the usual, the usual things that these movies suffer from, good ideas, you know, uh, despite, the lack of, uh, just, quality as a whole. Um, this, I, this movie, Craven, first of all, Craven is a bad guy, first of all. Or he was a bad guy uh, up until Marvel decided to kill him off. Um, Craven is a villain. And, so obviously, Sony decided to basically kind of like revamp, um, his character for this movie. Same thing what they did with Madam Web, which never should have been made in the first place. Um, so you have Craven now. they handled him how they handled Venom, and they decided to make him an anti-hero, which Venom I could understand, because Venom, when he first appeared in the comic books back in the day, he started out as a villain. He was a villain for a long time um, until Marvel just basically decided to give, Venom's popularity had reached, such a high point. Um, Venom's, popularity had reached, such a high point, um, that Marvel decided to give him his own solo series, his own mini series with Lethal Protector, and then from that point on, Venom was made. He was called, the Lethal Protector from then on. Um, so it would make, so it makes perfect sense that Sony would do, that it made sense, for those movies, for those three, Venom movies, that's the direction that they would take the character into. However, for Kraven, Kraven, first of all, Kraven is nowhere near as popular as Venom is. First of all, he doesn't have nearly the massive fan base that Venom does. Um, he has no solo titles of his own. Venom. Venom is a big enough character. His popularity and his um, in his established, he's established enough as a character to be able to have his own, to be able to hold his own title. Craven is not, um, Craven is not that type of character. His popularity is nowhere near as big as Venom's. Um, and in this movie, it suffers from, the same, it suffers from, the way that, that this movie is made. It's definitely something that Sony would put out. um it's definitely, like, it would be one thing, and like, the Venom movies, obviously aren't perfect. uh Excuse me, sorry. They aren't perfect, but they're fun. They're fun. Um they're fun, to just go in and just, watch Venom, do his thing, and you can, they're fun to, to watch and have a few laughs. They're like, um, the bromance, obviously, between, Venom and Eddie Brock. It makes for a entertaining movie. Um, Craven does not have any of that. Craven, uh, this movie has no heart whatsoever. The dialogue in this movie is so bad, it's like cringeworthy. Um, Aaron Taylor Johnson as Craven, I mean, he's a good actor. Um, what I don't understand, though, is that Craven, in the comic books, in Spider-Man the animated series, in the video games, Craven is Russian. He speaks with a Russian accent. And why they, and that is a huge part of his character, obviously. And Sony, for whatever reason, decided, yeah, we're not going to do that. Um, And the CGI in this movie. Oh my god, the CGI. The CGI was embarrassing, to say the least. The CGI was it's some of the worst I've ever seen in a movie. And and quality has always been um, a problem with these movies. Um, Literally the only reason why they kept them going, obviously, was because the first Venom was such a big hit. Um, the first Venom was such a big hit, and obviously that is due to the massive fan base that Venom has. Fans love Venom. Um, and um, yeah, no, this movie, and this was actually the first uh Sony movie in this universe to get the R rating, which again, why they decided to make this R rated but not Venom R rated, yeah, that doesn't make sense either. Um, and I mean, I get that they did it for, I get that they wanted to make Venom, for a wider audience. However, from what I understand, there are um, there are very, very heavy rumors going around right now that Tom Holland's Spider-Man 4 is. It's already been confirmed that Tom Holland's Spider-Man 4 is going to be another multiverse story. And um, there have been a lot of rumors suggesting that Venom is going to finally cross over with Spider-Man in this movie, in Tom Holland's Spider-Man 4. So what I don't understand is why you couldn't have made Venom rated R and then just tone down the character slightly, for when he crosses over with Spider-Man. They very easily could have done that if they wanted to. They very easily could have done that. Um, uh, okay, yeah. So this movie didn't make me. Um, this movie didn't make me. As someone who is already obviously familiar with Kraven as a character and how he's supposed to be and act and all that other stuff. This movie did not do that justice at all. There are, the, it's just, it, his father, Craven's father, played by Russell Crowe, raised him to raised him and his brother Dimitri. He raised him to be like, we are hunters, we are predators, showing showing weakness is not uh we don't show signs of weakness or any of that. um um it's just the acting again is, and I mean, Aaron Taylor Johnson, I think is a good actor. I mean, the action sequences are as bland and generic as you would expect from these types of movies from Sony. um it doesn't really it didn't really bring anything new to the table, and other than the fact that the movie was R. the with the R rating, the level of there is obviously more violence this time around. But I mean, you have Kraven like going around and just taking out like various criminals and stuff like that. It's trying to be uh it's trying to be something that it's not. Kraven, they're trying to make him into something he's not. And and it's and it just and then his brother Dimitri, who his brother Dimitri, I'm not going to give this away, but they saved his reveal for the end of the movie. He ends up being somebody, I'm not going to say who, but if you're familiar with the comic books, then you'll obviously know who he is. And yeah, they saved that reveal for the end of the movie. It's like, well, okay, like, why did you bother to put it in there then if you're just going to save it for the end of the movie? And Kraven, he speaks Russian literally at the beginning of the movie for like literally, I think, for like the first 8 minutes of the movie, and then he goes back to using like his regular voice. It's stupid. And it's not, and ignoring Kraven's nationality is ignoring a huge part of the character and who the character is. But at the end of the day, this really felt like just another John Wick ripoff. The movie did have, I guess, some of the action sequences were okay. The kills were, some of them, some of the kills were pretty creative. The way that Kraven killed, some of his enemies was creative. But again, the CGI is just so bad that it takes you out of the movie. It took, like I was sitting there watching this. They do some stupid crap in this movie. It's just, I mean, Sony is just, and I just found this out. Recently. Sony, there was literally nothing preventing Sony from using Spider-Man in any of these movies. They saw how well, the first Venom movie did, and then from that point, they were just like, all right, well, I guess Spider-Man isn't needed then. Just, and Sony, Sony are just idiots. Venom again. Yeah, again, Venom worked because people love Venom. And none of that is the only reason why the Venom movies were successful as they were, despite the second movie the third movie bombing. Despite the third Venom movie bombing, but it just it was there was no reason at all for this movie to get made. It was just I literally I found myself just genuinely bored with the I found myself genuinely bored with the entire thing. I got up to go to the bathroom at least twice during the movie because I was so bored. And, and obviously, like I knew the movie was going to be garbage. I was not, this is Sony Pictures. I was not at all expecting a masterpiece. Um, the Rhino in the movie, oh my God, he was probably, um, the worst, um, in terms of the CGI, he was probably the worst in, of the entire thing. And it just, that was just bad, 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 bad. And, they're, again, they're trying to make, Kraven, into something he's not. And it's just, there's no reason for it. And all those people out there who are, sick and tired of comic book movies and, who are sick and tired of of comic book movies. This, putting out movies like this, Hollywood, is not going to help your cause. If you're trying to win back, the trust of the comic book fans, putting out shit like this is not gonna, help your cause. I'm telling you right now. Um, but yeah, no, there's this movie. This movie definitely deserves the reception that it's getting. Critics are hating it. It's bombing right now at the box office. And rightly so, because this movie was a giant clusterfuck. Um, and yeah, no, this Sony needs to just stop with these movies. Um, and From what I understand, they are. I've seen conflicting reports on whether or not this will be the final, um, Sony, Spider-Man spin-off movie. Uh, for now, from what I understand, it will be. Um, from what I understand, it will be because Sony has a bunch of other, Spider-Man projects in the works right now. They've got Spider-Man 4, they've got Beyond the Spider-Verse, they've got the Spider-Man Noir TV show coming out whenever that's going to be. But yeah, no, this movie, I yeah, no, this movie was just so dumb and obviously should not have been made. Anyway, yeah, so let me know what you guys think. Let me know if you've seen it, what you thought of it. Like, subscribe, and I will talk to you guys later. Peace.